This video is going to take us through the installation and configuration of Firefox ESR on Windows. Now, the first question that might come up is why Firefox over any other browser? Pretty much every other browser out there, I said pretty much, not every, but pretty much every other browser out there is using the Chromium engine. So browsers, just like operating systems, have a core component, and these days it's mostly Chromium or Mozilla. And Firefox uses Mozilla, as does Tor, and I think IceWeasel on the Linux side. And Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Opera, and over a dozen more utilize the Chromium engine. Well, Chromium is a development product from Google. So Google Chrome, I'm sure you've heard of them. And Google is not known for their respect for privacy. Quite the opposite. They're known for harvesting data. But I mean, the Google search engine is useful for exactly that. You want to find something, chances are Google has harvested that information somewhere. So if you're leaning more towards privacy and security, then a Mozilla-based browser might suit your needs. And Firefox ESR, the extended service release, is what I would recommend. No more is it that plug and play exists. We can't just download a software program and run it. We have to configure it. We have to configure several settings inside there in order for it to provide us the best possible outcome when we want security and privacy. So that's what we're going to go through today, and including extensions that can be used with Firefox to kind of harden that security platform. So the best thing that Microsoft Edge is good for is using it to download Firefox. And this is the first time I've probably run Edge on here. Yep, so we're going to get prompted. Start without your data. Don't bring anything over. Confirm and continue. Don't make my experience more useful for me because I'm not even going to be using you. Confirm. Okay, I'll just do download Firefox ESR. Now, this will take us to a page where we can then click on an option to get extended support. Don't click on the download option. Let me go back to that real quick just so you see. Don't click download here. Click on extended support release. There we go. And I may have said extended service release earlier, but whatever. Point being. And click on this guy here. Now you've got access to what version. This will be the executable. This is the MSI if you want to roll it out in bulk. If you're in a domain environment, you have several machines that you want to push this out to. We're just going to grab this guy. I actually use Winget a lot, but maybe I'll do a video on that another time. English, download. Okay, there we go. Just thinking about it. There we go. Okay, there we go. Didn't think you liked me for a minute there. All right. Go ahead and launch it. There's a lot of work that goes into making these videos, even as unprofessional as this might be. There's just a lot of prep work and configuration testing that has to be done in order to make this go as smooth as possible and to make it as few edits as possible. So I have a lot of respect for people out there putting on these professional productions of how-to videos. Standard, regular location, Now, why the ESR? Because if you use the regular version of Firefox, you can get prompted to update that software multiple times a week, and it's a pain. The extended support release bundles a lot of these patches and updates and upgrades and rolls them out in less frequency, so you're disrupted less. Okay. Oh, wait, under here. Firefox is not already running. I just double-clicked on it. Calm down. All right. Another virtual machine that I've just stood up for this purpose. We're not going to import. We'll set and pin, save and continue. Okay. Change it from Edge to Firefox. And then we can close this. Would I like to pin it? Yes. And we've already made it the default. All right. Skip this step. We will skip this step. And we're going to start browsing. All right. Now just a couple of aesthetic configurations I like to make. Right click up in the top bar. Choose menu bar to turn the menu drop-down menus on. I like that. And then same thing. Again, right click on it again. Bookmarks bar. Always show. And then it'll always show your bookmarks as opposed to hiding them when you go browsing. All right, let's kill this guy. Now, the settings are similar for Mac OS, but not similar enough that I would trust this video for it. So I'll do a separate video for Mac OS. This is just for Windows. But we'll go to Tools, Settings, and I like to start, especially on Firefox, in the left column, start with Sync and start from the ground up. You can sign in, you can create a Mozilla account, and then that'll help you kind of synchronize across multiple systems if that's what you want to do. This particular one is being stood up for some OSINT operations, open source intelligence operations, so I'm not going to use that on this particular configuration. Privacy and security, let's go ahead and scroll down all the way to the bottom again. Here, I like increased protection because I get to choose when it utilizes advanced DNS settings as opposed to just doing it and not telling me. Not a big deal. If you don't know what that means, the advanced DNS stuff, don't worry about it. If you just choose increased protection, that's exactly what it's going to give you, is increased protection while you surf the internet. All right, HTTPS only mode. Yes, this forces any website that you type in to the URL up here. Like, I mean, Microsoft is going to be HTTPS anyway, but any other lesser known website or domain, they may not have properly configured it to include a secure hypertext transfer protocol configuration. So forcing it to try HTTPS first is a great security effort. And this does it in regular and private windows, and we'll talk about that later. Certificates are fine. Security is fine. Advertising preferences. Yeah, they say without collecting data. Sure. Okay. We'll believe that when we see it, but leave it on. Firefox to install and run studies, no. Make personalized extension, no. And send technical stuff, no. It's just, I don't want anything blasting out of here. Scroll up. In each one of these permission settings inside here, you can leave these two. Make sure that there's nothing listed inside here. And for this particular virtual machine that I'm standing up, I'm going to force it to block any requests so that I don't have to say, no, you don't need access to, say, the microphone when we get to the microphone. This is a virtual machine. There is no microphone, so I don't need a website that I go to asking me permission to use my microphone. And that's exactly what these are. Now, if you're going to use this on your regular day-to-day system, then yeah, and you might use, and you're using Teams or Zoom or something, then you're going to run into a problem if you turn those off. So just know where you can come in here and toggle these guys. But for me, I'm blocking everything. Oops. Nothing to block inside there. Microphone, yes. Block, camera block. Location block. You've seen that probably 100 times when you're surfing, you know, especially retail store locations, retail store website. They'll ask you for your location so that they can provide you a closer store. I don't need that. For history, use custom settings. Do not remember browsing, do not remember search, and then clear search history when Firefox closes. But you've got to go into settings and then choose this additional component to save to make sure it purges everything, and then run a manual clear of all 4 of those checked with everything selected, and then yes. And this just ensures privacy. Now, it is kind of funny. There was I think I read in one of Kevin Mitnick's books that early browser configurations that allowed you to delete your browsing history actually violated some of the early internet laws. It's kind of crazy. I don't know, maybe those are still in the books and we just don't pay attention to them anymore. So save and fill, save and fill. No, no. Yes, yes. All right, go. Not scrolling. Why are you not scrolling? All right, passwords. If you don't use a third-party password manager, then I would say it's okay to explore this. I don't endorse or recommend any one particular password manager anymore. They all seem to get compromised or breached in one way or another. But I do think that using a password manager is helpful and important, and it alleviates the strain of trying to remember all of the unique passwords that you really should be using, right? We don't want to reuse passwords ever. Don't use the same password on any other website. Each and every place that you log into should have its own password. But because that becomes cumbersome, then you should have a means of securely and safely storing passwords somewhere. No, not a yellow sticky under your keyboard, please. All right, so delete cookies, yes, and let's go ahead and scroll up because once again, we need to run a manual clear data on this to choose the types of cookies that we're going to be purging and then ensure everything. Yep, clear. All right, there we go. These two are kind of nice. Send websites a do not track request and tell websites not to share my data. These are new. These are, the seller share my data one is new with their latest release. Now this is where it gets a little kind of tricky. I like to use strict, lock it down, block a lot of this stuff. But again, if you are going to use this for social media, you might run into some problems. I don't use social media, so I don't know the effects of this firsthand. But just try it out, and if you have problems, you can scale it back and adjust what needs to be adjusted. Okay, search. Once again, scroll down to the bottom. When I do a search up here, let's just do word list. It's going to use Google as my default. I don't want to use Google as my default, and when I change this in a moment to DuckDuckGo, I also don't want it to use Google as an additional search component. I only want it to use these down here. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that these are the only options we have, like when we talk about the default search engine, which I'll change in a minute. But DuckDuckGo is the lesser of these evils. I actually prefer other search engines that you can make as your homepage, but we don't get to pick those from here, and we can't custom add them. So I just I just don't want to use Google as my default. So I'll take these guys off. Address bar suggestions, I'm going to turn these off, except for open tabs, bookmarks, and browsing history, because we're going to purge, so it's only going to be relative to that one session. And this is something that you can change as well, obviously, or disable. I don't want to show my recent, I don't want to show trending. I don't care what anybody else is searching for. I don't want search suggestions ahead of browsing, so I can go ahead and just turn all of this off, but I want all of those others unchecked first. Now, oops, DuckDuckGo. Now when I search, you saw that one pop up with Google as the first one. Same search, now it's DuckDuckGo. It's not utilizing anything from Google. All right. Scroll back down. Turn all of these off again from the bottom up. I've said it before that it's in case it accidentally, the top one accidentally gets turned on. See how this one would turn all of those on too? Oops. Then the reality is it's not about an accidental turn on. It's about when you get a software update or upgrade, it oftentimes will come back in and turn these things on. I wish corporations would not do that, but gives us something to do, right? What else would we do while we drink our coffee other than reset our security settings? Do not recommend features as I browse. You don't need to be watching me, what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Extensions, don't care. I know what I want. I know what I'm going to install. All right, all these other guys are fine. Don't need to do anything with network. Don't need to do anything with performance. You can choose it. You can set it to install the updates automatically. But you will have to, whether you choose this to happen while it's running or not, you will have to restart Firefox when it gets an update. It'll prompt you, hey, I've downloaded an update, but you need to restart for the latest version. And yes, when you restart, please save all your tabs, because it'll blow out most of them, if not all of them. Okay, that's fine. Save. I like to ask. Sometimes I want to dump it into a different folder, especially doing motion stuff. All right, check themes. Yes, yes. All right. Oh, confirm before closing multiple tabs is kind of nice to check. If you've got 35 tabs open, then you accidentally go to close this, and it's going to be like, oh, wait, do you want to close multiple tabs when you thought you just had one open? So, yeah, kind of nice to save your skin there. All right, and these are personal preference. I don't like to select either of these. And that's it. That's it for these particular settings. Now, let's go to Tools and Add-ons and Themes. There are 3 that I would recommend. The first one is Privacy Badger. And it might sound like I'm smacking the keys really, really hard. I kind of do smack the keys really, really hard, but it's also that I'm using the built-in microphone of the MacBook, so. All right. MacBook, but wait, Carl, you're on a Windows machine. Yep, VM. All right, Privacy Badger is by Electronic Frontier Foundation. You may have heard of them. I think their efforts in helping citizens preserve privacy and stifle government and corporate overreach are well intended, and their efforts have been impactful. So I have a lot of respect for them in that aspect. I've said it before, I don't agree with a lot of their other stuff, but we won't get into that. Meanwhile, we'll just add this to Firefox. Yes, let it run in private. Okay. Now, you can choose one of the other 2 blockers. There's one of 2 blockers that I like, personally. AdBlock Plus has been my favorite up until recently. I find myself moving more and more over to uBlock Origin. And they each have their pros and cons, so I would recommend trying each of them. I wouldn't do both at the same time. Kind of, they could fight one another. So I would choose one, see what it does for you, visit a handful of sites, check it out, and then uninstall it and then try the other one. But for right now, we're just going to do uBlock. Okay, and OK. And that's it. And I think I said 3 extensions, but really it's just those 2 for default. And that basically concludes the installation and configuration. And now when we run it again, everything is already set up. This little puzzle piece here shows us what options we have available for additional plugins. So, that's it. Have fun. Safe surfing.